Hello, hello. It is almost time. All right. 9 o'clock, right on the dot. Pip with you live from Salt Lake City International Airport on the west side today. Welcome into the Two for Tuesday, the Tuesday Twin Spin. 4 hours today, folks. We're going from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then 2:30 p.m., 4:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, or if you like Zulu, which we do, it's currently 16Z. So welcome in everybody right on the dot. Say hello. Make sure your stream's coming in through okay. Let me know that you can hear me okay. We're looking at Concourse A on the west side of Salt Lake International Airport. We just saw flight 385 headed to Boise, and we'll turn our attention to runway 34 left for Delta A321 getting ready to depart to Atlanta. From a hub to a hub. Hey, good morning, Daniel. Thanks for saying hi and joining me for the broadcast this morning. I've never done a broadcast this early because we're at 9 a.m. local time, but I'll definitely catch more of the East Coast and then Europe too. So that's very exciting. So good morning to you. How you doing? Get some rest? 10 a.m. here. Okay. Okay. So you're in the Midwest or Central Time Zone. So we're good there. All right. Awesome. Yeah, I actually grew up in the Central Time Zone in the Midwest. I grew up in the Chicago area. So safe travels to that flight. Kenosha, Wisconsin. Oh my goodness. Right in the old hood, right across the border there. Excellent. Love Kenosha. I also love that I can take the metro train to Kenosha. That's pretty cool too. I grew up in Naperville, so in the western suburbs over by Aurora, and that's where I grew up. Always loved going to Six Flags in Gurnee. That's kind of like a family thing, as it was for many people. Yep. So I lived there till I was 23, then went to college, and then have been around the country ever since. So I've lived in North Carolina, Texas, Utah, Wyoming, Indiana, and I think that's it. Yeah. So I've been a little bit everywhere. It's been great. Experienced. Yeah. The Six Flags is definitely a blast. I will tell you, the Six Flags in Texas and Dallas doesn't hold a candle. The Six Flags Great America is way better, way better. So that's just my personal opinion. But hello to everyone. Make sure to like, and if you're new to the channel, I encourage you to subscribe because that way you'll know when we'll be on the air. Today is our 2 for Tuesday, so we'll be broadcasting again later on this afternoon from 2:30 to 4:30 Mountain Standard Time. So we're excited to have you as part of the broadcast. 9 o'clock hour is a little bit slower as far as arrivals. However, we should expect a lot of departures in the 9 o'clock hour. And we do have an inbound to us from the West Coast, Alaska 796 from Seattle on a 737 900 is headed our way and should be on the ground in the next 5 minutes. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But for right now, we are looking again at Concourse A of Salt Lake International. This edition was built in 2020. So it's a fairly new airport, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday. But as you look west, that is pretty much the end of civilization. If you can see the mountains there in the distance, once you go past that, that is the end of civilization. So thanks for thanks for everybody tuning in. Good morning to everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you might be. All right, Daniel. Yes, the whole airport is new. Great question. It is, in fact, all new. It was built. So this part right here, this was the first part that was built. This was Concourse A, and this was the very first part, and it was built in stages. So this was done, I think, in like August of 2020, and then in October, Concourse B opened up. So the west side of the airport, Daniel, was all done first, and so we're waiting on the east side too. And I'm going to go pan left. Oops. And catch that Alaska arrival. Try not to go too fast so the stream doesn't freeze up. But yeah, the second part of the airport is currently built right now. And if you were on the broadcast yesterday, I know we didn't talk a whole lot about it, but there's a new section of Concourse A on the other side of the airport that's being built. And then the second half of Concourse B will be the last part. So it is all new. Alaska 737-900 inbound from Seattle. Just taking its landing there. So the big things about Salt Lake that you may hear, Daniel, through social media and whatnot, is how long it takes to walk to Concourse B. Biggest complaint is how far it is to walk. And it's true, it's probably close to a mile from when you enter the terminal and the ticket area to Concourse B is about a mile or close to it. So that's the biggest complaint. The biggest things people like are a lot of natural light. The concourses are wide, so plenty of space for people to get through. I would say the best bathrooms in the country. The stalls are spacious, so you don't feel cramped. Yeah, yep. So okay, you got the discussion, but yeah, they tore down the old terminal and they basically built over it. So, but they did it in stages, which is kind of smart of them, a little bit different. Yeah, I'm interested. I have not been to Milwaukee, and I do want to go to General Mitchell too, because I hear there's a lot of good areas to plane spot at, and I definitely want to check that out. And of course, being in Kenosha, you're not too far from O'Hare, and Midway is not really that far of a drive, so that's pretty cool. And Madison. That's one of the reasons I like the Midwest is you don't have to go too far to get to an airport. It's a very slow airport. I will remember that. I'll have to catch it at the right times. You're right, though. Because Midwest Airlines used to have a hub there, and then they shut down, or God, I can't remember if they were shut down or bought out. Maybe you can remind me on that one. But yeah, it kind of changed as soon as they disappeared, and then it just kind of went down as far as yeah, yep. I know that. Yeah, they're so close that people will just make the drive to Chicago instead. Yep. I honestly think it would be advantageous for like Breeze or Avelo Airlines to start service there because it's an underserved market. So, and it's fairly cheap, but I think it would be smart of them. But that's just me. However, how can you go wrong with Summerfest in Milwaukee? And then the ballpark, Miller Field, that's awesome. And the Bucks. So people don't give Milwaukee a lot of credit, but it's a beautiful downtown and it's beautiful along Lake Michigan. You can't beat it. JetBlue, yeah. Uh, I think JetBlue flies there actually, or is let me check that out. I think they started last year. Let's see. Wonky Mitchell. See, and that's the other thing. Fiserv Forum, yeah, it's a brand new stadium for the Bucks. I'll have to check that out too. And thanks for everybody for tuning in. My name's Pip. This is Pip's Planespotting Live. If you're just joining us for the first time, feel free to say hi. And would love you to like and subscribe. That way, you'll know when and where we'll be broadcasting next. I typically will put out a video the night before or the morning of, letting you know where we're going to be at. All right, so Fiserv, I have to go to now. And yeah, JetBlue does fly from Boston and New York to Milwaukee. So they started that last year, I want to say. So that's good. But they've kind of started that. So there's some growth there. Yeah, JetBlue flies Boston and New York. So JFK and Boston Logan. So really, there are two hubs on the East Coast: is Boston Logan, JFK, and then down in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and to a certain extent Orlando. But right now, out of Milwaukee, yeah, it's just to the East Coast, which is super helpful because that's I want to say that's the only mainline service that is there. Hey, Brett. Yeah. Terminal V. Yeah. Well, I'm just honestly, Brett, I'm just waiting for them. So if you've been to Concourse B, like there's only the one walkway that's on, I want to say, the west side, instead of they're building the like where the food court is, when right after you enter security, the second walkway is being built. And that'll be a great benefit. So I agree. Yep. We all know the long walkway if you've been there. I think, Brett, I think secretly, like Salt Lake is saying America is fat, which is why they're like, we're just going to build a really long walkway so everybody's healthy. Because that's how I feel, because I feel exhausted every time I go through the walkway. So I agree. Yeah, and Daniel, JetBlue's kind of their main. Um, yeah, call it this SLC workout program. Agreed. Yeah, there's been a number of days. I almost think they could do a 5K inside the airport. I really think they should. So like one day in the morning or in the evening, just do like a 5K throughout the terminal and between concourse A and B, and you could probably get it done. And Daniel, yeah, like Boston is very busy. And you know what was interesting? You mentioned Boston and JetBlue, and I got a notification this morning from JetBlue saying the tickets are going on sale for Paris already. Nope, there are no buses, no trams, no trains in between the concourses, just a walkway. That is not a joke. I don't know if they ran out of money or were like, it's not that big a deal, but yeah, nothing. No trains, no buses in between the concourses, just a walkway. A moving walkway, right, Brett? That just keeps going on forever. In fact, Salt Lake is they've gotten to the point that they are like announcing walk times. Like this is how long it's going to take you to walk to the other side, like 5 to 7 minutes or whatnot when you go through. So, yeah, unfortunately, Daniel, man, I don't know what to tell you. Looking at the west side of Concourse A, we'll be back this afternoon from 2:30 to 4:30 on the east side of Concourse A. Yeah, so we'll be on the east side looking on the mountains. Yep, they do. Brett, they'll say like average walk time 5 to 7 minutes or whatever, just so people know. I don't know if that does them any good. And there's always when you get down the escalator and start the walkway, there's always one help cart for people who don't want to walk. But it moves so slow that I'm just like, I'm just gonna walk because I'll probably get to the other end faster. Yeah. All right, inbound. Inbound, we've got several flights. Delta 1148 on an A220 from Santa Ana, as well as Delta 1400 from Memphis inbound. And the one we'll probably see, it looks like they're routing most of the arrivals on 34 right this morning. But Delta 1316 from Vancouver should be on the ground here in the next 5 minutes on an A319. Also, is American discontinuing service to Burbank? Oh, good question. I have not heard that rumor. That might be true. They are, I think they're stop doing Long Beach because Mesa was doing that, I think, and they're discontinuing their agreement. So that's a good question. Let me see this. Burbank. Now, there's a good airport to go plane spotting that we'll do a live broadcast from is Burbank. All right, so American still has service from. Okay, so they are keeping the Phoenix Sky Harbor. I swore they were getting rid of it. It must have been Long Beach. That's what it was, Long Beach. But yeah, as far as I see, it looks like they're still keeping American Airlines service to Burbank. And you would think they would, Brett. Yeah, so yeah, Long Beach is the station they're doing, but Burbank makes a lot of sense, especially for when you land in Burbank. I don't know if you've been there, but that's like basically where all the TV production is and all that jazz. So it would be smart to keep that around. Yep, Long Beach. You know what's also interesting about Long Beach is so Breeze, one of the newest airlines that is actually headquartered out here in Salt Lake, they bought a slot for flights to Long Beach, but they haven't done anything with it. And they bought it almost a year ago, and there's been nothing said on it. So I don't know if they're changing plans or if they went instead to Orange County, which they are. They started service, which I think is pretty cool. They started service from Orange County to Orlando, so people can get from Disneyland to Disney World in one day, which I think is a pretty good idea. Pretty creative. And they also Breeze also started service to Orange County from Provo, so south of here. And I think it's almost every day. It's like daily service. Here comes our inbound from Vancouver, Canada, just across the border. So we'll pan to the left here and look towards the southwest to catch that A319 on the arrival. Tell you a little bit about Vancouver as soon as this A319 lands. Indeed, the old minibus. Nice and smooth. It makes it look easy, just touching softly. So I'd like to zoom in here for a second and see if we can see where this 737-900 is headed. So yeah, definitely a PIC landing. Good call. So Vancouver. So I did a couple of plane spotting videos about 2 months ago. I was up there. I decided to take a little time off. It was really cool. A couple things about Vancouver is let's see how old that plane is real quick. I would probably say at least 15 years old. It's definitely an oldie but a goodie. It says age-wise. Let's see if we can get this. It's not telling me age-wise. Oh, there it is. 17 years old. 20 years. So Vancouver. What's cool about Vancouver is it's just across the U.S. border, so you don't have to drive a long way. And from Seattle, it's about 3 hours. So you can rent a car, fly into Seattle, which is probably cheaper, or you can fly into Bellingham, Washington. Hey, BG, good morning. Good to see you. So you can fly into Bellingham, which is just across the border about an hour. So that's north of Seattle. So you can fly into Bellingham. Southwest has service there. Allegiant, I think one or two other airlines, but you can fly to Bellingham from Oakland or Denver. So that's why it would be Southwest, and you would connect, and you can just rent a car into Bellingham, drive across the border, plane spot, stay the night, do whatever, and then drive right back. And you're in another country. And there's a lot of good plane spotting action in Vancouver. And there's a lot of places for you to be able to take photography and whatnot. So it's really cool. Hey, top of the morning to you, everyone. I was going to say top of the morning and eat your lucky charms, Brett. But I would recommend Vancouver. Especially it's not too expensive because I think the U.S. dollar right now has a higher value than the Canadian dollar, so the conversion rate's pretty good. But overall, the one thing I will say is remember, because they go by the metric system, gas is much more expensive. If you took the conversion rate, when you first see gas on the gas stations in Canada, it'll say like $1.59, $1.79. I'm like, whoa, that's super cheap. But it's $1.79, $1.59 per liter. And the conversion is at least a couple gallons per liter. So you're actually paying like $6, $6.50 a gallon. So kind of interesting fact to point out. But Vancouver, I definitely recommend. Beautiful city. And it's got good public transportation too. Yeah. It's quite pricey up there. So that's why I'd encourage you to maybe to fly into Bellingham. That way you can still purchase gas in the US, drive across the border, and then not have to fill up in Canada. Just a thought. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So we take a look at Concourse A this morning. If you're just joining us, thank you so much. I'm Pip. We'd love a like and subscribe. Subscribing is the best way to know when we'll be broadcasting next. We're on the west side today. I know it's been a couple days since we've been on the west side, and thought I'd give some of our new subscribers and viewers a look at what the west side looks like. We're looking directly at Concourse A. Not a lot of arrivals in the 9 o'clock hour in Salt Lake, but should see some in quite a few in 10, and also a lot of departures. And thanks for the like. Yeah, it's funny, Brett, because everybody else but the US uses the metric system. So when you go across to Canada, it's kilometers for your speed limit. It's not miles per hour, so, and then the whole gas thing. And so it's a little bit of an adjustment. They did do a little bit of de-icing this morning for some of the early departures, but those trucks have since gone. Temperature is going to be upper 30s, maybe hit 40, and then we're going to see later in the week here in Salt Lake a gradual warming trend, like lower 40s. So it'll be nice. Speed limit in Canada. Okay, so the speed limits are lower for one. They're much more cautious in Canada, which that might actually help with insurance, and that may be the case. But it was oh, and the other thing is there are provincial highways, but there's like one or two like national highways, like interstates. So traffic is horrendous during rush hour and even not. So the speed limits, let's say on a regular provincial highway where you're not in the metro area, 60, it would average out to like 63 miles per hour. So it's 100 kilometers per hour. So like 63. So none of the 70 or 75 or even 80 that we see here in Utah. And then once you get into the metro area, it really goes down to like 55 and then even 45 on provincial highways. Yeah, exactly, Brett. That's exactly right. Amen. But the interesting thing about Canada is everybody just is polite and they just seem to govern themselves. So, but yeah, plenty of Mounties. Took me like 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes to get through the border. Wasn't a big deal. But yeah, they're definitely keeping an eye out for us crazy Americans, eh? If you do fly into Vancouver, you can take the train into downtown. There is a train that you can take. So you don't have to necessarily rent a car if you'd like. Oh, that's a good question. Well, that's funny because I just drove to the border from Seattle. Um, Give me 1 second here, Daniel. I want to look at one thing real quick, see where the departures are. All right, so Dulce, okay, San Francisco, all right, Tucson. Okay, we might get that one. We might get that one. Okay, so the drive from Salt Lake to Seattle and across the border, I like 950 miles. Just call it an even 1,000. So you have to go up through Boise. What I did is I went up through Boise and then over to Portland and then up to Seattle and then up to Vancouver. So it's about 950, call it 1,000 miles to the border up to Vancouver. I think the one thing you'll notice, and that's the other thing, is the one thing you'll notice, yeah, on weather too, absolutely. So Portland's like little Canada because their speed limits are super slow too. That's why they all got stuck in the snow. Uh, but one thing you'll notice if you're looking at flights is that the taxes to Canada are way higher. That's why people will drive across the border either to like Bellingham or vice versa and park domestically there internationally so they don't have to pay all the taxes. That's a fun little fact. And so the fares are way cheaper too, which is interesting. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. We're looking at Concourse A. Hello to everyone. This is the 2 for Tuesday on Tuesday. Broadcast started at 9 a.m. and we're going to 11. We'll take a little break for lunch and charge up the old batteries and be back at 2:30 this afternoon for 2 for Tuesday, the Tuesday Twin Spin. So I've been to Vancouver. Calgary will be next. I do want to get to Victoria, though. It's the provincial capital and is on an island, which, is beautiful. It is 30. It's cold. It was cold this morning. It's sunny out. Temperature wise, let's check it out. 30 degrees. 30 degrees. So yeah, it's a little chilly this morning. Oh, the time 9:32, or Zulu time 16:32. Yeah, Brett. It is. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's a great tip. Got to save that money. And Southwest tends to be pretty affordable. I think from Salt Lake, I saw it was $82 one way, which isn't too bad. So you would have to connect through Denver and then or Oakland. So either or, and then you'd have to connect up there and fly, but that's not too bad. Yeah. Yep. Just an hour ahead, right there in the Central Time Zone, Daniel. Hi, everyone who just tuned in. Encourage you to like and subscribe. That way you'll know when and where we'll be broadcasting next. In this case, I put out a video last night that you'll see, and we'll be broadcasting again at 2:30 this afternoon. So yeah, just an hour ahead, Daniel. So it'd be 3:30. Yeah, 3:30 when I start broadcasting there again. Looks like we got on that concourse a bunch of people are about to block out here. So check this out. So we should see an A320 for Delta 1721 to headed to LA. Starting up its engines. It's got the pushback. And then we got like a row of 737s. I see a A321 Neo. I would guess that would go to Boston or Orlando. We'll see. But it's hanging out right now. Does Salt Lake have a flight to Milwaukee? Excellent. I do not believe currently they do, but let's check before I say nay or yay. A direct flight. Let's specify that. Okay, yes, they actually do. They it is a main line. Delta. So Delta is a hub. Yep, the wave of departures, Brett. I expect it. The Delta is a hub, Daniel, for here in Salt Lake. So that's why you see so many Delta flights. Is it's a hub, one of their hubs, and so there is a direct flight, but it's only offered on Delta. It looks like to Salt Lake City from General Mitchell, Milwaukee. And obviously, they have several carriers due to the Chicago route. So American, Delta, United, and then Southwest flies to Chicago Midway from Salt Lake a couple times a day. Oh, Daniel's near a ton of large cities. Yeah, I'm jealous of him. Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous of Brad. I'm kind of jealous of Daniel. He's so close to all of them, so he can really pick and choose. Steven, I see you over there. Good morning. Hello from across the pond. We're on the west side of Salt Lake International Airport today. So we're looking at a lot of Delta departures soon. Absolutely, Brett. Amen, brother. Yeah, finally got an arrival here, so we'll turn our camera. We knew the 9 o'clock hour was going to be kind of light, so things will become busier and progress. Embraer 175. Brett, is this one of your bad boys arriving? Very nice. Good day for flying. Well, that's rude. ATC sending every single departure, it seems like, over to the east side. How dare they? This one was going to Los Angeles. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm a big fan of the 175. I think that's why Envoy decided, and American to a larger extent decided to um, get rid of the CRJs and are phasing out the Embraer 145s and the 140s. Now, just for pure performance and range, I would probably start an airline with the A319 just because of its short field performance. So I could go to a lot of, and the 175 too, but I could carry more passengers uh, with that. But yeah, you can't beat the E175, Brett. And I'm interested to see if they come out with like um, a variant to the E175. Oh, Brett, that's a good question. I'll let you handle that one. Explain SkyWest. Let you take the roll on that one, Brett, as I keep an eye on the 737-800 series blocking out. And while Brett's explaining SkyWest, hello to everybody who's tuning in. Wherever you might be, feel free to say hi. Don't be shy. We'll be broadcasting thank you for the like. We'll be broadcasting till 11 this morning. So for about another hour and 20 minutes, we're located in Salt Lake City. And then today is our Tuesday Twin Spin. And we will be back at 2:30 this afternoon, unless my computer explodes or something like that, for another 2 hours. All right, that pushback on that 737 800 series. That's a Delta 1309 headed to St. Louis, so they'll probably be routed to the east side as well. A lot of departures on the east side, however. There's also the sun on the east side, so didn't want to get the sun in your face. That arrival is Delta 3713 from Burbank. Just went through the screen. And welcome everyone to the broadcast. And thank you for the like again. So pleased to bring it to you today. It's a little chilly this morning, 30 degrees. It's all right though. At some point it'll warm up and then I'll just be walking around with shorts and a t-shirt that says dispatchers are people too. Thank you, Brett. Excellent explanation. Actually, Republic is Brickyard. The call sign for Republic Airlines, Daniel, is Brickyard. Didn't mean to interrupt there, Brett, but the reason that Republic is called Brickyard is because Republic is based in Indianapolis and Brickyard is a name synonymous for the Indianapolis 500 racetrack. So, yeah. Yep. Still have the mountains visible. They're still around us, Stephen. Good to see you. Glad that you're on board. It's a uh, little more, and SkyWest just has the SkyWest call sign, right, Brett? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a little more barren. So, Daniel, of course, one of the great shows from or Stephen, one of the great shows from the UK is Top Gear. And so, where the camera's pointed is actually we're looking directly west, so kind of west northwest, and this is towards the edge of the Salt Lake metropolitan area. And directly west, beyond those mountains, and you see in the distance there, past that warehouse, past that, there's literally nothing. And that's where the Bonneville salt flats are. And I think there was an episode where Top Gear did an episode from the Bonneville salt flats or taping because that's where they record all the land speed records for all the fast cars and rocket planes and things like that. So, well, it is, you're correct. It is my stream, but that is your airline, so I don't want to steal your thunder. As soon as we start getting a little funding, we will be making some T-shirts that have stuff like that. Yep. Yeah, I was. In fact, Daniel, I was in Phoenix 2 weeks ago doing a live remote. We may go back next week, but beyond. It's funny you mentioned that. That was probably the longest drive of my life. Was driving from Phoenix to Las Vegas. It's about 300 miles, and once you get outside the metro area, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Get the old Gulfstream 4 there, giving us some corporate arrivals. Yep, you got it, Brett. Good old Jeremy. See if they send us any other surprises. Yep. Okay. Thanks for verifying that, Stephen. Yeah. Not Salt Lake. More Salt Lake's about 650 to Phoenix, but Phoenix to Las Vegas is about 300 miles. All right, so we're getting a morning arrival from UPS this morning on our runway 34 left. Should be on the ground the next 3 or 4 minutes, 7:57. And I see it there in the distance. If you're new to the channel, encourage you to like and subscribe because that way you'll know when we'll be broadcasting. Brett, are you talking about the drive from Las Vegas to Phoenix? Or are you talking about the drive to Salt Lake to Phoenix? Because you go by the Grand Canyon when you do like Salt Lake to Phoenix. Because if you go by Kanab and Page, that'll take you right by there. And you know this, Brett. Yeah, Phoenix. Yep, there you go. Yep, you're right. Thanks for clarifying, Brett. Yeah, I took the drive when I went down to Phoenix and really enjoyed it. I was thinking, I was like, I need to get like a winter home down in Kanab because the town is dead during the winter time. Interstate 80 goes east and west, Daniel. So that would be more if I wanted to head to Reno or San Francisco or to Wyoming. If I wanted to go down to Phoenix, I would probably want to do I-15, which goes south towards Phoenix, and then you'll take some old U.S. highways. Yeah, it's funny. We've caught two 757s the last couple days, Brett. We don't see them too often. Just tuning in, we're on the west side of Salt Lake International Airport, and we're looking at Concourse A, the first part that was built at this new airport. And in the afternoon, we'll head back to the east side. Looks like inbound to us, we do have Delta 859 from Boston to Salt Lake City on an A321neo. That's inbound, should be on the ground the next 5 minutes. Driving Daniel from Salt Lake to Phoenix is a full day of driving. It's a little over 600 miles because I-15 goes from Salt Lake to Las Vegas, but you actually need to go straight south. So you take some of the back roads and you go around Grand Canyon and Flagstaff, and it is beautiful, no question. And then you pass by Lake Powell too. So from about Cedar City down through Phoenix, it's really pretty. Yeah, that UPS coming in pretty sharp. Should see this A321 here shortly. Yep, I see it. So it should be momentarily, folks. All right, that plane to your right, that's Air Delta Flight 1183 headed to San Antonio. It's got the okay, fired up the engines. It'll probably be headed to the west side of the airport on an A319. Yes, Daniel, it does. Yeah, up there. And also, I think I-90. Thanks so much for new subscribers out there and the likes. We are in our Tuesday twin spin headed to 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, and then we'll be back at 2:30. Our Tuesday twin spin is where we do 4 hours of broadcast instead of the usual two. So I'll charge up the batteries and see what we can do. A boring drive, yes. Eastern Montana is an extremely boring drive. Western Montana is gorgeous. In fact, I encourage everyone to go to Bozeman and Missoula and Butte. Western Montana is beautiful. And then you got Kalispell at the top of the state in the western part that has Glacier National Park. Yeah. Nice, Brett. Oh yeah, well, North Dakota too. Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed Fargo going to Fargo though. I It was a nice place. It's big enough. It's got a Best Buy, a mall, all that stuff. People are really friendly. I know, Brett, like the east side, I was looking last night and planning. I just I was hoping that they would do more departures on the west side. I just with the sun rising from the mountains in the east, it can be sometimes hard. So that's why we're facing the west. The west. Hey, all right, Will. Awesome. So, what's your opinion of Fargo? I liked it. I liked the airport because it was easy to plane spot there. I also liked it because North Dakota State University is like across the street from the airport. So that's pretty cool. Next to North Dakota, so that'd be Montana to the west, South Dakota to the south, Minnesota to the east. UND, perfect. This guy knows what's going on. That's awesome, Will. So, Will, are you going to be a pilot? Are you going to? Nice, excellent. Well, glad to have you on. Uh, does since we're all about social media and stuff, did Swain Martin go to UND? I thought he's a first officer who does blog. Excellent. Yeah, I know. I agree with you, Stephen. I know it's not the same, but Jeremy just kind of had like from every episode I saw and like from what I heard, he had like an invincibility complex. That's just me. That's just me though. Looks like they sent our San Antonio departure our way to runway 34 left for departure. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, when I first met Will, I first met Swain at Envoy when I was working there as a flight dispatcher. So he was the first officer there for a while, and then obviously he had his hours and he upgraded to United. So he actually, I was in one of his videos doing flight dispatching, talking about flight dispatching. I had like a 30-second clip of me in there. But yeah, so UND is an excellent school for aviation.